her voice is going to be really important, or his voice is going to be really important. So I want him to talk to you. Don't. You can look or don't look. I just want you to make sure that their voice is comfortable. And the husband will go.
Yep, every time.
Like, what are you doing? Do you normally communicate with her like that?
Yeah.
Welcome to the Ask an Audiologist podcast. Real audiology white papers and real audiology topics explained to you by real audiologists and a guy who isn't. Now here are your hosts, Dr. Jordan Strong, Dr. Michael Squires, and Kevin Ziener.
Welcome back to another episode of Ask an Audiologist. I'm Kevin Ziener.
I'm Dr. Jordan Strong.
And I'm Dr. Michael Squires.
And today we're catering to an older audience. That's what this episode is for. If you are 33 and older, this is going to be in your wheelhouse. If you're younger, chances are you 33? Don't even know what Seinfeld is. I watched an MLB baseball player get interviewed. I think he was like 22. This would have been a handful of years ago. They were interviewing him, and they asked what his favorite clip or episode of Seinfeld was, and he just looked in the camera and says, "I have no idea what that show is." And a part of my soul died in that moment. So, Kevin, how are we going to put all this together? Great question, audience. So we have clips from an episode of Seinfeld in regards to one of the characters, not one of the main characters, but one of the ancillary characters played by Rob Schneider, wearing hearing aids. And the gag within the episode is his hearing aids work up until they don't. And they often stop working at those times where you really wish they were working, right? Before we watch the clip, I would say this. Without being sexist, clearly you would be Elaine, okay? Our producer, Daniel, who nobody can see, is the epitome of George. And I think everybody agrees with that. In my world, I would have loved to have been Jerry, but I'm too tall and my hair is way too big, so
you're
clearly Cosmo Kramer. Thus, the bearded one gets to be that
I'll
Jerry
shave and then I'll make the royalties.
Yeah. And now we just need to have someone be Larry David, and we'll have a full crew. Okay, so that being said, let's watch the first of 3 clips that we have in regards to this episode, and then we can just talk about selective hearing as it relates to some of the patient's experiences.
Remember when you were in school and they do those hearing tests and you'd really be listening, trying to do well. I want to do well. I wanted to do unbelievable on the hearing test. I wanted them to come over to me after the hearing test and go, "We think you may have something close to super hearing." What you heard was a cotton ball touching a piece of felt. We're sending the results to Washington. We'd like you to meet the president.
So, ironically, whenever I'm being tested, right? Because I just think the word test.
Oh yeah.
You're like, gotta pass.
I gotta pass.
Gotta pass. And so I never remembered having an audiology test when I was in school. Clearly, we did. But have you ever done those where they put the blood pressure cuff on? My blood pressure spikes in that because I'm so nervous because I want it to be good. And it's always worse. Do you find when you're testing people, they get in their own heads about this kind of stuff?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And somehow the results don't actually replicate what you're seeing on screen?
Yeah, either they're sitting there and they're just constantly pushing the button, or they wait until they absolutely hear it. Even though we'll instruct them to be like, even if you think you hear it, go ahead and push the button, yeah.
Or I'll have people come up later and go, I had a patient actually just a couple weeks ago say, "Hey, look, I think we need to go back and do that." I'm like, "Well, we tested you like 4 weeks ago."
Yeah.
No, I think I did it all wrong.
Oh, wow.
I assure you, it's probably fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, people that, for something about the booth, something about that seal.
Yes.
When you feel that door
There's
close.
this literal pressure that you put on yourself.
Yeah, and so, these people get in their own heads and they're like, what do I do? What do I click? What do I raise?
Just so everybody knows, we do test it enough times to make sure that we are getting an accurate response.
Yeah, we're
it's
not
not just like
you.
a one-time thing.
And you don't fail out of humanity if you don't pass a hearing test.
You're not gonna pull one over on us.
Got it.
There are techniques that are employed to avoid that.
Perfect.
Correct.
Next clip.
All right, people, I'd like to begin with a hearty hail and well-met good fellow to Bob Grossberg, who's joining us from Business Affairs.
Thanks. Hi, everybody.
Bob, we have a little baptism by fire for you, so to speak.
Poor bastard.
I want you to handle all the fact-checking and the copy editing for the new catalog.
Could you repeat that?
Why don't you handle all the copy editing?
I'm sorry, what?
Copy editing. Never mind. Elaine, you do it.
So it looks like he's actually has an analog hearing aid in that, which this would have been early 90s, so he could have had that. Do you find that there are patients who are like, maybe they're not this truthful, or maybe you've heard through their family or friends where they're like, even with the hearing aids, it is very much selective hearing at this point.
So, I dated a girl in high school whose brother would purposely mess up mowing the grass so that his dad wouldn't let him do it.
Oh.
So now his dad would mow the grass. This is exactly what people do.
Yeah.
And they go, they'll fail their way through these life situations, and then they're totally fine on the golf course.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And either, then we get the spouse that comes in and goes, I don't understand why he can hear everyone else, but he can't hear me.
Yeah.
And I go, I mean, I can see that.
That goes back to the counseling thing that you should probably talk
We
about.
can see why he can't hear you. But this is actually kind of the analog. There might have been digital out at that point, but they probably would have used something that's very easily seen by the camera, and they go like, ooh, you know what I mean? But he's playing this is a funny angle.
I appreciate that. It's like, we can't be mad at the guy with the hearing loss, so we'll just absorb everything.
We'll just put on somebody else.
Yeah, this is where that disability is working for you in the workplace.
I also like the whoever's presenting, how he just, you could see him listen. The amount of words that he's trying to say, and also exaggerating the words, and that just always annoys me as well.
As if the hearing aid isn't doing everything that it's supposed to be doing in the first place, right?
Think he's faking?
I don't know, but I'd like to try that earpiece on, see if it's real.
Hey, Elaine. Oh, you have a friend. Just want to say hi.
Bob, you know what? I'm kind of swamped here. You think you could give me a hand with some of the catalog?
I'm sorry, what?
I'm kind of swamped.
Thank you. I'm having lunch with Mr. P. I better get going.
Hey, Bob. Bob? Hey, Bobby, over here.
So, I don't know that there's probably too many people who are testing friends or family who have a hearing aid. But is there some truth to, like, okay, I know you haven't been able to hear me before, now you apparently can, but I really want to make sure that this is the expectation.
Oh, they do it in the office.
Oh, really?
As soon as you turn it on, they'll go, no, and I'll say, my voice isn't all that important, but her voice is going to be really important. Or his voice is going to be really important. So I want him to talk to you. Don't. You can look or don't look. I just want you to make sure that their voice is comfortable. And the husband will go,
every time.
I was like, what are you doing? Do you normally communicate with her like that?
Maybe not so much communication at a urinal, but it is kind of funny because what I see there is it's not just the patient, right? It's the world around the patient that is adjusting to this new norm, because as we've talked about before, whether you wait 5, 7, 10 plus years, 20 years, everybody is adapted to who you are and the likes of which you can hear. And so when the opportunity to hear exists, there's almost this level of trepidation, like, but is it real? Like, can they actually hear me now? And in some cases, it's selective.
Yes.
And then you got the patient that says, I'm not going to tell anybody that I have new hearing aids.
And just see what
and we're
happens.
going to see what happens.
Now I can hear them.
Now it's like they're a spy, right? Now they're like, I'm just going to plant myself in the office.
This remote microphone and slide it under the door.
Yes.
That's actually, I have not thought about that.
Live listen on the phone.
Done it.
Yeah.
You're leaving your phone somewhere else?
Oh, yeah. Because
Really?
you can do it with your AirPods, too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Look at this. We're giving you guys tips on how you can spy on your friends and family and coworkers. Okay, So clearly somebody who is capable of hearing, putting in a hearing device that is amplifying sound. What is, like, if I don't believe I need hearing aids, I've had my hearing test and it's been fine. But if I was to put in like your prescription, would it do anything like that? Would it blow out
not
hearing?
my prescription, but there's definitely
there's
some.
definitely stuff.
Okay.
You know, like Carly, my wife, will listen to my hearing aids every once in a while, and my prescription is really mild. It'd be like having just like a really mild prescription in your glasses.
Got it.
You know, and then you'd be able to wear them and go like, yeah, I can totally see that.
Yeah.
Got it.
That there's some correction here, but you're functional. But we do have cochlear implant patients where they're bimodal, which means they're wearing a hearing aid in the contralateral ear, the ear that doesn't have the cochlear implant in it. And we go to listen to those things, and we always forget.
And we always forget.
We always put our
Yep,
listening.
we put our listening thing in, turn it on. Yes,
we're like,
every
It's
time.
just like
It's
deafening.
overwhelmingly
Yeah, it's so
loud.
Yeah.
But that would be appropriate for their prescription, right?
Got it.
So it's just very dependent on the patient.
Right.
I don't know that I have a wrap up for this episode. What is our takeaway from this?
Well, first of all, Seinfeld is a lost treasure. This
and it's
Seinfeld's
on Netflix right now, so you should watch it.
Yeah.
the best. Seinfeld's great, but this is a really funny, quippy and Seinfeld was really good about doing this, but they have a really funny way of producing this perception of reality, and because it's always from that angle of like that really true to life reality. It's like, but do they? But is that real?
No.
And I loved it. I think this is a really cool, really funny clip.
Yeah, this is a good one.
So we will leave the humor to Seinfeld that you can find, I literally think, anywhere at any point in time on television this day and age. And then if you need more of an audiology education, you can go on over to askanaudiologist.com and find all of those resources there. Thank you guys for enduring this 10 minutes of flashback to a great show that took your profession and made light of it.
Yeah. Everybody 33 and over, we all we really enjoyed it.
Well, 30 and older. How about that?
Yeah.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Awesome. We will see you guys next time.
See ya.
You can find more information at askanaudiologist.com, and you can follow us on all our social channels at Ask an Audiologist. The information provided on this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only, and does not substitute for professional medical advice.